Excuse me, sir. Sorry to bother you. My name's Keller Nunley. I'm a local filmmaker in the area. I'm just going around doing interviews. I'm just looking for someone who'd be willing to give up a couple minutes of their time. Be willing to talk on camera about anything that interests you or that's on your mind. Would you be willing to participate in that?
Franklin Pierce, he was pro-slavery and they're taking his name off of the UNH charter, if you will, or whatever they call it. He's no longer a part of it because he was pro-slavery. But back in those days, how many presidents before him were pro-slavery? Of course, they're not from New Hampshire, so they don't get talked about. But I think that I know a little bit about history. Pro-slavery was going on long before President Pierce. He managed to get an upbringing that was pretty good, and pro-slavery was a thing back then, and most people were for it. But they want to crucify one person because of it. Franklin Pierce, he was our president. I don't know how good of a cabinet he had working for him. Back in those days, I think many people were pro-slavery. Crucifying Franklin Pierce. I read the paper a little while ago, and that's what I was thinking of. I read the whole article, and after all these years, they want to disown Franklin Pierce. That's something crazy about that.
Contemplating getting my license and getting out of town. I got to get away from this stuff. I'm 10 weeks away from 31 years sober, and I got to get out of here. I didn't spend too long here.
How long you been here?
3 years.
Where were you before that?
Florida, California, Washington, Michigan, Minnesota. I was running out on the casino circuit for such a long time, living out of a van and shit. That's what I want to do again, just to get out of here and travel. I just want to travel. I'm getting too many bad dreams, and it's telling me that it's time to go.
Yeah, where do you want to go to?
I don't make plans, I just go. It's the only way to live. I mean, right now I've got money in the bank. I've got to get my license back at the end of the month. I have no worries. I try to help the people out on the street. None of them want to help themselves, and I'm getting tired of it. It's always give me, and I mean, I don't mind because I go out panhandling. That's how I get my money to do what I do out here. But it's tearing me apart. People saying they want to get help. They're supposed to go in one day, then they're going in the next day. You know, you get tired of hearing that. They don't want to help themselves, so why should anyone else help themselves? They all feel entitled. You know, it's time we open up and start taking care of Americans, and the hell with these foreigners. And it's like this Black Lives crap. It's all lives, and I say that every day, and I'm not ashamed to say it. It's all lives. You're a racist if you say black lives. You're a racist if you say all lives. So, who's right? Who's wrong? Black lives are lives, aren't they? And white lives are too, so what's the difference? The police aren't doing their job. Defund them, they're not doing their job. That's bullshit. Just like out here, if you weren't doing anything wrong, you wouldn't have to hide and run. You're breaking the law 7 days a week, and then you say they're harassing you. They're not harassing you, they're doing their job. You're breaking the law 7 days a week, and then you wonder why you're getting tickets and getting picked up. But
what are they breaking the law by being here in the park?
no, well, after the 1st of August, they're not going to be able to sleep in the parks. They're doing. I mean, it's they're smoking the spice everywhere. They're drinking beers everywhere and leaving their cans of crap everywhere. robbing this one to get their stuff, and they rob one person a day and complain that they got robbed the next day. And it's the same person that robbed somebody the day before, you know? And they're complaining they got robbed. You know, it's a never-ending cycle.
Is that what you're trying to get away from? Is that cycle?
Well, I was in it. Like I say, I've got almost 31 years sobriety, and I know what it's like out here. But it's when the poor are stealing from the poor, you got a major problem. I'd like to get back to Jacksonville, North Carolina, to see some people I met in the program 15 years ago that I haven't seen, and I'd like to get back down to Orlando and see people in the program if they're still around.
Is that where you're from, Orlando?
I'm actually grew up in Concord and hated every minute of it. The only reason I came back, came back to take care of my mother for a year before we put her in a nursing home.
How old's your mother?
She passed. She
Oh, I'm
went
sorry
in
to
a
hear
nursing
that.
home. No, we prayed that she'd go. She was miserable.
Yeah.
But she was always miserable anyways, fighting with my father, and then them both drinking and beating each other up, and there was no way to grow up. You didn't learn anything except hate and distrust. Well, that's why I went out and panhandled. I was making $400 to $900 a day when the checks first started coming out. Open your eyes. It's all users and leeches around you. It's like I tell the girls out here. Stop selling yourself and then buying shit for everybody. They don't give a shit about you. If you got something in your pocket, they're all over you. If you got nothing to smoke or use, they're nowhere to be found. If you died, none of them will show up at your funeral, so don't call them your friends. They're acquaintance. Nobody out in the drug world has any friends.